All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the SobahSistahs Podcast. This is actually number 50, my 50th episode. Yeah, I feel like that's a milestone, to realize that I've recorded 50 episodes. Really cool. So I have a very, very special guest here today. You may know her as the Boss Lady Zero Proof. Her name is Natalie, and Natalie empowers women to reach their goals and truly live their authentic lives. Love it. She is a motivational speaker, mindset coach, and is also Enneagram certified. Natalie has been featured on many podcasts and has been published in several magazines. She was recently named one of the top 10 accounts to follow within the sober community by Booze Free Females. She has been married for almost 16 years and is a proud stepmom to 3. Her and her husband are empty nesters and live in Atlanta, and she works in pharmaceutical sales full time. Loves to travel, golf, and watch college football. And she will be celebrating 3 years alcohol-free this October. So thank you, Natalie, for being here today.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited to be number 50. What a milestone. Like I told you right before the recording, I'm kind of fangirling over here. I'm so excited to be your guest today. So thank you for having me.
Yes, I love that. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, let's just jump in and where did you grow up? I know you live in Atlanta now. Where did you grow up? What was it like? And
We'll
we'll
go
just
from
jump
there.
right in.
I love
Yeah.
it. So I love to tell a little background because I think that's important of what shapes us as adults. And before I get started, I have a couple of caveats. So number one, my coping mechanism is laughter. So I will totally laugh inappropriately. And that's because I'm uncomfortable and I want to avoid vulnerability. And I know that now because I'm an Enneagram 8. So I don't want to show vulnerability. So that's it. And I hope your listeners get something out of my podcast today, but I have to give you a shout out, Megan. The podcast number 49, Dr. Mandy Niebel. Oh my gosh. If you all have not listened to it, you can come back to this one, go listen to that one. Either way, amazing. Dr. Mandy was amazing and I gained a lot from it. So, all right. So where did I start? Let's start from the beginning. So I was born and raised in Kentucky, small Eastern Kentucky town, and leave it to beaver type parents. So I always joke I can never blame anything on my parents because I had almost a perfect childhood. Older sister who's 8 years older than me. She's my best friend. She's amazing. My parents have now been married 64 years next week. My mom's 84. She would kill me for telling her age. My dad's 87 and still works full time. So, and by choice, really, because he goes to an office and he answers phones, but he can FaceTime and it's just, I'm so grateful. But my background, I think what's important about how I was raised by my parents is I was raised Southern Baptist. So no drinking allowed, no drinking in the house. If you were a drinker, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And so I grew up, I think, with that stigma of drinking was bad. So then let's go into childhood, high school, busy kid. So I was a cheerleader. I started competing in pageants when I was 15. I danced 4 days a week. That was actually my talent. I was a tap dancer for pageants. So I danced so I could get free tuition. And I got an academic scholarship to go to college. So I did not drink in high school nor college, which is kind of fascinating because a lot of people, it's when they get their freedom. And, I get asked sometimes, like, why didn't I fall into the party crowd? And I think it goes to where I'm at now in sobriety. It's where you surround yourself with people and birds of a feather flock together. And I surrounded myself with people who quite honestly weren't drinkers. So therefore it just wasn't a thing. And I was just so busy. Drinking just didn't come into play. So I just think that's really fascinating because it did, right? Why did I ever pick up the drink? That's what's fascinating. So when that happened, I got my first big girl job. And before that, I competed at a very high level in pageants. So I was competing in the Miss America system. And again, that pageant crew. Yeah, it was so much fun. Amazing. So that was all in Kentucky. And then I got my first big girl job and I moved from my tiny town to the big city of Lexington, Kentucky, which cracks me up because I live in Atlanta now. Never thought I'd be here. But the big girl job made the difference. So I was 26 years old. Now it's the happy hours and the work hard, played hard culture. And that's what I fell into. I kind of wish I didn't pick up the first glass of wine, to be quite honest with you. And, started out as a beer drinker because I didn't even like the taste. So it's just, I can look back again, there's the laugh. I could look back and think it's funny, but it's not funny. That's how I got started. So then it kind of moves forward. I'm going to give some highlights because I really want to get into the why and how I did it because I really resonate with you about that. So big girl job, doing great. Actually transferred to Atlanta for a new job. So all single, living my best life. And then I met my husband and got married. And he just so happened to have 3 kids. Big change of my life.
I can't
Right. So,
imagine.
so the kids were younger. They were like, I think they were like 6, 8, and 10, 5, 7, 9 stair steps, something like that. So I've been in their lives a long time. Now the kids are 24, 26, 29. So it just blows my mind how fast time flies. But I think I went from this work hard, play hard culture, networking, sales meetings, that type of thing, to then I get married, then the kids, and then it's the mommy wine culture. So I didn't know what the names were for this until I quit drinking, but definitely the mommy wine culture. And then as the kids got older, you're drinking at play dates and just a cringe now to think about it. I don't know. I know, isn't it? It's crazy when you look back. I think what's interesting is I used to be very embarrassed to share this story, but I think this is very, very important in my journey. I actually went to an AA meeting in 2015. That is very important. Why did I go to an AA meeting? Because I'm an Enneagram 8. So therefore, if something is wrong, I'm going to fix it. I've been described as a balls to the wall personality. So if you ever Google, am I an alcoholic? Which I did, the reasonable answer to that question was go to AA. So I don't know what happened, but I went to AA. So here's the fascinating part. Like I said, I used to be embarrassed about it. Amazing people at that meeting. I will never forget it. Scared to death, all the feelings. And I walked out of that meeting completely relieved because I was not an alcoholic.
Mm. Mhm.
And I kept walking, kept moving along. And I just think back to that date because when you see this timeline now, 2015, I didn't quit drinking officially till 2022 in October. So a lot of years passed there. So fascinating. But I'm really proud of myself that I did go and I tried one meeting. So yay. I know what it's like. It just wasn't my jam. If that works for people, I think that's amazing. This journey, as you know, and all the guests you've talked to, you have to find what works for you. And that didn't work for me. So therefore I shut it out and was like, great, not an alcoholic. Guess I'm normal. Let's keep moving. So keep moving, keep selling. And at this point, again, high level, high expectations. So I'm trying to be the best stepmom I can be. I'm trying to be the best wife I can be, the best at my job, and just grind, grind, grind. In 2018, what's a great idea? I want to do a side hustle. So do I do Avon or Mary Kay? No, I came up with wine. Isn't that genius? I should do a side hustle of wine. And I can remember that day when I learned about a side hustle of wine. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for me. And that's when Boss Lady Wine was born. So
Boss Lady Wine was a thing before Boss Lady Zero. I had no idea.
that's why I stuck with the Boss Lady so people could still find me. Totally but I didn't go right from Boss Lady Wine to Boss Lady Zero Proof, right? There was a bit of transition. So that's what I like to talk about because if anyone's listening to your podcast, which I hope we have some listeners, I always love when people send me a message and go, oh my gosh, your story resonated. That is just so humbling to me. And what you do, I'm sure you feel the exact same way. So 2018, I start my wine business. Megan, shocking. I'm successful at this wine business. So now I have all these spinning plates and I'm drinking. And I think here's also the fascinating part. I'm not sure where the line blurred from, because again, I wasn't an alcoholic, never drank after 5 o'clock. I never drank out of a paper bag. Yeah, I might have drank before 5 on the weekends, but that's boozy brunch. It's like all of these excuses that I allowed myself to drink. So COVID hit. Then my business was even more successful because they could order the wine from me and have it shipped directly to their door. And at this point in time, during these years, I was getting paid cash payroll for the wine that I'm selling. Plus I'm getting cases of free wine at the house during COVID.
Lord, the perfect storm is
Perfect.
like brewing here.
I mean, could you imagine? So interesting enough, I was like, and again, I think it all goes back to that, in your gut, and I didn't know what to do about it. So AA didn't work. And after COVID, and I don't know where the line blurred from after 5 o'clock to only the weekends to every day. Oh, well, then now we have a bottle. Well, corks are for quitters, so I'm not going to waste a bottle. So I'll open a second bottle. And my whole feed, I think too, I'm validated as Boss Lady Wine by everything I post that's absolutely feeding the mommy wine culture. So I'm posting and, oh, you need more wine and it's COVID. You can't get to the store, order more wine and corks are for quitters. And if you're at home and the dog's home, you're not drinking alone and just all of those things. And I'm validated. Every like, every comment. Yes, girl, I feel you. Just so fascinating. I cringe now. I look back to, I think what's fascinating is one Christmas, the kids got me gifts. I was proud as a little peacock. And again, because they gave me these gifts, every gift was related to drinking. I look back at that picture now and it's a punch in the gut. But again, when we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
And that's
we were so in the dark there. It's
right.
like clueless, sort of.
Oh, absolutely. And I never knew, I didn't even know anybody sober, because birds of a feather flock together. I wasn't friends with sober people. I didn't know sober people. Program's feeding you what you want. I'm not following sober people. It's just fascinating what we're fed. Bottom line, in 2022, I think this is also important. There was no rock bottom for me. There was I woke up one morning and was like, this is not working. I don't know what's going to work. So I bought a book on moderation and I laugh because I thought I was going to be able to moderate. And I think also too, this is a great time to point out, there's an article, I don't know if you've read it. It's by Gretchen Rubin and it's actually not about drinking. It's simply about the personality type of moderators versus abstainers.
Yes, I have read that.
So I've been described as balls to the wall. I'll give you a hint which one I should be. So it's just, now you know these things. So bottom line, I did 6 months of moderation. That didn't work. Then that was my moment. You ask what was the moment that flipped. So that was the moment. That was the moment I was scared to death. What do? Moderation didn't work. AA didn't work. Well, gosh, what's my other option? Because there's no way I'm going to put the wine glass down. Are you crazy? Like, quit my wine? This is my business. It was almost like an identity.
I was just going to say that becomes who we are. Yeah, absolutely.
And I was just immersed in like the thought of drinking scared me, which I'm sure you can relate to. Will my husband like me? Will I like him? The fear paralyzed me. So what I did was I jumped in with both feet, but I committed to 30 days. And I noticed you're running a 30-day special right now. So shout out to you. So
yeah, 30 days for Alcohol Awareness Month.
Exactly. So I'm sure you're going to tag the link. So I think that is huge. And why that worked for me was not ironically, I did it because my gym was running a cleanse and they always ran cleanses and I always did the cleanses. I never quit drinking wine.
Right. No, that doesn't count.
You can't drink alcohol. And I would mock it, right? Like, oh, I'm not going to quit my wine. I know you're going to be shocked, Megan. The cleanses never worked. I never lost the weight. I never hit the goal because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to. So all this lined up perfectly. So I made the decision that month. That's why it's October of 2022 on a random date because I committed to my gym. And that's what I'm saying. When you have this circle of people, birds of a feather, they have the same goal. That's what's huge. And I also am going to tie in here. So I don't have a TED Talk yet. I'm not going to lie. I want one. So if anybody has connections,
yes,
if anyone has connections, shoot me a message. So the TED Talk I want to do is called Mindset, Motivation, and Mentors. The 3M approach of reaching your goals. Because now when I've reflected on my journey, 3M's, mindset, motivation, and mentors is how I feel like that's how I got sober. So mindset was, I'm not going to drink for 30 days, period. I don't care the birthday, celebration, wedding. I don't care if the day ends in Y. No drinking for 30 days. I also told a couple of colleagues. I shared it with my husband. But again, it was 30 days seemed small and doable. Because I've done 2 weeks before. Who knows, I've probably done 30 days in the past, but it was just a big deal. So I made a big deal about the 30 days, but I also think I committed to that and I jumped in with both feet. So as Boss Lady Wine, I started following sober accounts. And I think that's so ironic, but yet why not? So Jen Hurst was one I followed, and she was one of the first. So she offered a call. So I jumped in and listened to the call. It was a free call she hosted. The speaker was Ketsia. And these two ladies were talking like you and I are talking right now. And I am on mute, no camera, fake name, and I'm listening to these people, and I feel like I'm listening to a foreign language. And at that point, I realized there's a whole world that I didn't know about. And I was ready to absorb it all. Again, Enneagram and A. Enneagram A, balls to the wall, let's take it all in. And that's where I got fascinated about the Enneagram now, got certified, because I do think our personalities play into what resonates with us.
Yeah,
I quit
absolutely.
I quit the wine business. So the cash flow that I was having with that, I stopped. I got rid of all the wine. I committed to 30
Wow, that
days.
had to be hard. Did that feel hard? Did you mourn it, or was it
Yes.
empowering, or all the things?
I grieved the wine. Well, the 30 days I think was easier. I think I started grieving when I committed to more. But why did I commit to more? I could have went back, but I didn't want to, because at that point, now I'm feeling better. I've lost 10 pounds. I'm getting asked, oh my gosh, you look amazing. Your eyes look good. And then it feeds your ego like, okay, is this because I quit drinking, or is this because something else? So mindset is key. 30 days, a small goal, I think, is key. Being open-minded is huge, because I was open to what was out there. And what is this sober world all about? I think it's sad that we use the word sober, and sometimes that's brought with stigma. I look forward to the day that we can say that and it's celebrated as a health choice. So sometimes I might use alcohol free, but those two words to me are interchangeable. They aren't to everybody, I'm learning.
Yeah,
I really don't
yeah.
care what you call it. I tell people that all the time. It doesn't matter what you call it. Like, whatever works for you. So mindset was that. Motivation was following on accounts like yours. Books were huge for me. Podcasts like
What was your
this.
favorite book
Oh my gosh, I have
in
5.
the early days? Oh, yeah, 5. Okay, yeah. What are they? Name them
So
all.
I actually read them in order. So it was Alan Carr's How to Stop Drinking Without Willpower. The second one was, oh my gosh, I used to have them in order. Second one was Intoxicating Lies, Meg. And I connected with her on
Oh, yeah.
Instagram. And her
Love
book,
her. Yeah, she was on the podcast.
she's amazing. And see, we're in the
Love her.
same industry. So I believe her.
I was gonna say that. I thought
Yeah.
that you guys do the same type of
We do the
work.
same thing. So I sent a message to her and she replied back. And I'm like, whoa, like this is so exciting. And Unbottled Potential, Amanda Kuda. Love that book.
Yep.
Annie Grace's This Naked Mind. I think what's fascinating is I have a biology degree. So This Naked Mind, getting into the science also helped in terms of the motivation is once I started learning about alcohol. And also This Side of Alcohol, Peggy Cooney. That's another great book that I love. So
The side of alcohol. I
yeah,
don't think I know that one.
it's a great one. She really just shares her journey and it just helps you realize that you're not alone. And a lot of us are going through this. So whether you get it, and the music was so key to me. And I don't think we talk about music enough. And I'll share a
Okay.
small story. So Charles Kelly from Lady A
Mhm.
posted a song and he called it his goodbye letter to alcohol. And it was As Far as You Could. So ironically, we were tracking about the same time frame. Obviously now as Boss Lady, and then I got gutsy enough, I switched my Instagram to Boss Lady Diva Barbecue or something. I don't know.
So you dropped the wine.
I
You
dropped
dropped
the
the
wine.
wine.
I was
Okay.
ready to drop the wine. I wasn't ready to be all sober, right? So there was the transition. So then mentors, so mindset, motivation, mentors, following groups, whether it's whatever group you need. I definitely think groups, whether it's like your group, is key. Accountability. As you well know, Megan, we could do a whole podcast just on what the community piece
Oh, yeah.
brings to the table. And that's why I just want to encourage people to the 30 days that you're offering. That's a big deal. If you can do the 30 days and realize the benefits, then at 60 days, I was going to Key West. So this was a huge milestone. Key West
Ooh,
is a
yeah.
drinking town, and I was going with all the same people I'd went to Key West 2 years previously. And I just thought to myself, can I do it? And some of the people in my group were like, you can't do it. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I had sober coaches tell me, don't do it. I don't recommend this,
As in don't go at
as
all,
in don't
or
go at all. But for me, mindset, why am I going to give up Key West, where my husband turns into Jimmy Buffett and we have a great time just because I can't drink? I just could not wrap my head around why would I not go to see Sun just because I can't have an alcoholic beverage? So in the beginning, I was just balls to the wall sober. I got sobriety burnout at the 6-month mark, I think, because I just did all of the things. So I survived Key West sober. And then, 60 turns to 90, 90 turns to 6 months. And then I just kept, I still don't say forever. I think that's fascinating.
yeah, I don't really either, actually.
Yeah, just talk about now it's years. Like I can't wait for my 3 year and then the 4 year. And I'm all big. And like a friend of mine got me this at my 2 year. And then I did a photo shoot for my 1 year. Like all these milestones, if you don't count, you don't have to count. I still get asked by some people who don't or that still drink, like, why do you count? For me, it helps. And Dr. Mandy talked about this on your podcast, episode 49. I had a sober coach tell me, because of my pageant days, I love to win. I want the crown. We know this. This is my personality. I'm competitive and I want to win. She said the best thing to me, when you go to bed at night, if you did not drink that day, you get a gold star for the day. And I was, for whatever reason, and you talked about stickers, for whatever reason, for me, I want that gold star every day. Does it
Yeah.
matter to anyone else in the world? No. But for me, it was just important. So, and if people have slips, I also don't judge people for that. At the end of the day, if you have 30 days, I was blessed once I set my mind to it, I was successful, but not everybody is. And that's okay if that's your journey. But at the end of 30 days, if you only drank 2 or 4 and you used to drink 2 bottles, it's just,
Yeah. You have to celebrate the progress and the changes. And, I've had a couple clients where they maybe had some slips on like a trip or something, but overall I'm like, you're not nightly drinking anymore. That's huge. Like you got to just celebrate the huge wins. It's not always going to look perfect. I mean, you had 6 months of moderation, right? Before you finally had that mindset switch. So that is really common and such a good reminder to people.
It's just, it's crazy. And then the science was huge for me. When I was finally ready for Annie Grace's book, the cognitive dissonance, I think, is huge. So I describe me learning about alcohol was like seeing the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. So Huberman Labs has an amazing podcast. Like I said, your podcast you just did. Mel Robbins did a great podcast about alcohol. But you start learning what alcohol does to the body. The U.S. Surgeon General just came out in January that said there was a clear link to alcohol and cancer. I did not know that until I quit drinking.
Right. See, and it's been a known level 1 carcinogen since 1988. And it's like, I didn't know either. And I thought I was like all up in the medical world. I've worked in healthcare for a long time
Exactly.
and didn't know the direct link to breast cancer.
Okay.
Wow.
Point in case. So I'm an X-ray tech by trade.
Me too. Did we already discuss that?
I thought you were a nurse. That's awesome.
No, I'm an X-ray tech.
Oh my gosh. So I'm an X-ray tech by trade. And then I love it. So, healthcare, biology background, all of these things, the science, just the Huberman Labs podcast, blows my mind. So the breast cancer link, another fun fact. During COVID, I had a breast cancer scare. I had a lump, had a biopsy, and this was a 4-month process of going through from point A to point B to finally lumpectomy. I finally I had a pre-cancer. So therefore I am deemed high surveillance. Therefore I get mammograms and MRIs every 6 months for the next 5 years. We are on year 4. So I quit. So if you're doing the math, I'm on year 4. So I quit drinking a year in. Okay. This is important. Who told me to quit drinking? No one. No one mentioned it. When I got diagnosed with this precancer and, we got it out. So you're good. You just have to follow with your oncologist. Did he mention you might want to quit drinking? No. I'm Googling herbs, natural. I ordered hundreds, don't tell my husband, I ordered hundreds of dollars of herbs to the house because that was supposed to help decrease my breast cancer risk. No one mentioned drinking during all this time. The reason that's important is year 3, I'm almost year 3. So I just had a follow-up with my doctor, the 2-year mark. So now at this point, I've had a couple of mammograms, a couple of MRIs, a follow-up with him. He goes, Natalie, I'm just really impressed because usually when people get MRIs, we start having to do a lot of biopsies because MRIs are much more sensitive. He said, I think it's just awesome that you haven't even had a biopsy in these now 3. And I said to him,
You're like, well.
and I'm like, well, that's so great. Yes. I'm like, thank you so much for sharing. I'm so grateful. I quit drinking. It's been 2 whatever years. And he goes, it's good. I was like, yes. Did you know, doctor, that if you quit drinking alcohol, specifically in women compared to moderate drinkers, decreases their breast cancer risks specifically 15%. And he laughed and said, yeah, I know that. And I said, so why didn't you tell me? Looked him dead in the eye and said, why didn't you tell me? And he said, I have another patient to see.
No way.
That was my last follow-up. And he left the room.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It is believable,
It is
unfortunately.
believable. And when this US, I thought the other slide, so when the US Surgeon General, as you well know, we've known this data, but 7 different types of cancers is what alcohol can impact. What's interesting is we don't talk about that. And there was a slide that the US Surgeon General posted on Instagram. 40% of Americans don't know the risk. Fascinating. I also think it's fascinating in society. We think it's normal or alcoholic. And as you and I both know, it is alcohol use disorder. If you have 1 glass of wine on Christmas night or whenever you have it, you're on the spectrum. Now, granted, you might be a 0.5, but you're on the spectrum. If you've had a DUI and lost a couple of jobs, that's probably a 10. Where was I on the spectrum? I don't know, but I love Meg's description or the description of the gray area drinking. I wasn't normal, but I walked out of the AA room knowing, you see, you get it. You get it. So
Yeah.
it's just so fascinating. So did I ever think I would, and I can't remember, I really should look back. I don't know when I officially switched to Boss Lady Zero Proof.
I wonder. And actually, I
I
I
need to
actually
go
have
back.
a fun fact, actually, that, well, besides being an X-ray tech, that we have that in common.
Yes.
I sold wine. The year before I actually quit, I had a food page Instagram,
Wow.
and I sold organic wine. It was
Of
organic, so
course.
it was
Of
way
course.
healthier, and it was,
Way.
like, way
So,
better for us, But I
so
did, and I
healthy.
posed with it. I have, like, a photo shoot I did with all this
Absolutely.
wine, and oh my gosh, it's just funny how you can totally
Same.
change.
Same. So
Yep.
then, I'm sure you found this as well. So then I'm alcohol free. And then you have the stigma. I'm at a work meeting and I am so grateful. My company is amazing. They usually have alcohol free options. Amazing. So I ordered do you all have a non-alcoholic beer? The guy behind me goes, huh, what are you? What chip are you on?
Mm.
And I turned around and said, thank you for asking. If I were an AA, I would be on month 4. Thank you so much. I'm not, but I'll
Good
be
for
sure.
you.
I'll be sure to keep you updated on the next one. I just was, and my friend said, you probably should have asked, could you repeat that?
That's what I think Mel Robbins said that, or on one of her
Yeah.
podcasts, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I didn't, because again, balls to the wall, Enneagram 8. I was like, and again, this is the Enneagram 8 in me. I fight for the people that can't fight. That's why I love dog
Mm.
rescues. That's why I love to help people at Kroger. I mean, little things. If someone's suffering, I want to make sure they have a voice. And that's why I'm so proud to share my journey, because I think it's a very common journey that we don't talk about.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. We need you. We need you in this space. We need more
Yeah.
women just, sharing their stories when they feel comfortable and just
Yeah.
showing it's possible. And that, yeah, most importantly, you don't have to hit rock bottom to
No.
want a better life. And, what I really love too about your story is how we can change, we can evolve, and we're supposed to, we're human. So, I mean, you can go from wine boss lady, to boss lady zero proof. Like, you can
Yes.
literally change, you can grow, you can evolve. You're not stuck and who you were or what your
Absolutely.
identity was, you were all allowed to change. And that is, we should want to change,
We should
and
want
evolve
to.
over time.
And what a beautiful journey, as you well know, in Amanda Kuda's book. Once you remove the alcohol, what's possible? So I would get messages, kind of sassy messages from people. So let me get this straight. You used to sell wine and no, you don't. Now you don't. And I would reply, correct. I am not a tree. I'm allowed to move. Thank you for asking. Just,
And then
and
that would usually be it. They
oh,
would be
that would
like,
be it. Then, I would get the messages that, I think sometimes people maybe thought they were looking in a mirror. So very defensive messages. Actually, those made me very sad because I realized they're not ready. Well, I only drink this and blah, blah, blah. And you're preaching and you're sharing this and you're not my audience. I'm not talking to you. I'm sorry. If you don't like what you see, unfollow me.
right, exactly.
It's not real hard. Hit the unfollow button because I'm going to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
And I also think what's really important is I am so lucky. I have the same friends. All of my friend groups supported me in my journey, and they still do. My husband still drinks, and I don't, but he was my biggest cheerleader. And so I think don't be afraid. I think that kept me stuck too, the what ifs. My husband still likes me. I still like him.
Yeah. So did you have to change kind of what you did for date night or learn how to hang out with each
Oh
other
my
without, or
gosh.
how, all that
Phenomenal
stuff?
question. Phenomenal question. So for me, I still love happy hours. I still love social gatherings. So my and my husband's kind of routine was we sit down and wind down, watch TV and pour a drink. So I kept that routine. I just poured a different drink. So for me, I didn't really get into mocktails, but for me, my go-to across the board, wine glass, club soda, lime. That's my go-to across the board. Do I love a good mocktail? Yes. But then you get into its high sugar and I'm like, what the heck? And then I also, this is funny. Again, Megan, we can only do the best we can do, right? And that's the choice with everything, alcohol, whatever. Then I get advertised, promoted, whatever on my Instagram, a non-alcoholic tequila. I got backlash. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that. That has 0.0025% alcohol. Why would you do that? And I literally replied back, I'm sorry if that offends you. I'm not drinking 2 bottles of wine a night, so I think I'm good. Like, that's how I see it. So
Right.
again, if it triggers you to have a mocktail, don't have a mocktail. I do think you and I, though, sobriety, we are in a beautiful space. For example, I was talking to my mom yesterday, my 84-year-old mother. I am convinced I'm about to go through menopause. I have a doctor's appointment, going to get the hormones
Oh,
checked.
we just talked about this on our Soba Sisters call today. We went all in on this and we were just all talking about it. Oh,
Thank goodness I quit drinking before
yes.
this journey. So that's all I
Yep.
can say. The way, especially Dr. Mandy on your podcast, on 49, describes how alcohol wrecks our hormones. Another funny story I have, people will call me, oh my gosh, your skin's so beautiful. What do you do? I quit drinking. Like, I'm sorry. If quit drinking were an infomercial, we would want it. If you didn't have quit drinking at the top, but it decreases anxiety, improves your mood, eyes less puffy, better skin, and decreases risk
You
of
just
cancer.
inspired me to like make a reel about that. Like,
But wait,
you
there's
guys, here's the
more.
best secret.
Right? But wait, there's more. If that was an infomercial, we'd be calling up think about, Mandy talked about it on your call. Think about the products we buy to help our face. Quit drinking. I used to get cystic acne. I don't now. I used to get sinus infections every single month. I had sinus surgery. When I quit drinking, I've had one sinus infection per year. Crazy. So
Wow.
that's
I
just,
know that's like such a random link, but it is
it's
a
a link.
link.
And
Yep.
do I analyze my stuff? Probably, but thank goodness I quit drinking before menopause. So now that's my new journey. So my husband still drinks, and that's actually not been a problem for us. He drinks. I don't. I will tell you, funny moment. So he wanted to start eating healthy. Well, I have to admit, some people crave exercise when they quit drinking. Unfortunately, I like sweets. So
I didn't get that one either. My gosh.
I wish I got that walking and exercise. I'm trying so hard. But my husband wanted to eat healthy. And so then I was eating my favorite coffee ice cream one night, right out of the pint, going to town. And he looks at me, he goes, I'm trying to eat healthy. I wish you wouldn't eat that. And I said, I love you so much. And when I quit drinking, you encouraged me and you kept drinking. So I'm encouraging you.
I love that.
I knew, and
He got it.
he
He's like,
got it.
"Mm,
But all my,
touche."
I mean, I'm just so grateful. So I can still take vacations. I went to an all-inclusive resort, alcohol-free last year. That was interesting. I kept scared to death they were going to spike my drink because I kept saying no alcohol in the drink. But bottom line, I just think, now I love to speak. Motivational speaking is really where and sharing my journey, even if it's in small groups, because I kind of get imposter syndrome when people go, oh my gosh, you're so inspiring. That wasn't my intention. My intention is simply to share. If that inspires you, I am humble and so grateful for that, because we are allowed to raise our hands and say, this is not working for me. Now what can I do? I didn't know the answer to that question, right? As I've shared. So I think the more we talk about it, and, mentioning menopause, I called my mom yesterday and I was telling her about, I think I'm going through menopause. And I was telling her about some of the benefits and the webinars and the Oprah special and all this menopause talk, right? She goes, Natalie, years ago, menopause was taboo. We didn't talk about
Mm-hmm.
menopause. And I actually said to my mom, Mom, I feel like that's where sober is. It's taboo to be sober, but yet alcohol free is more, like, oh, if you didn't go to AA, that's more accepted. And that's not
Yeah.
fair. That's not fair. If you got sober, that should be celebrated no matter what. But I told my mom, I look forward to the day that being alcohol free is a celebrated health choice, like menopause is talked about. And hopefully in my lifetime, we'll get there.
Yeah. 100% think we will. We're on
Yes,
our way for
we are.
sure. Yeah. Oh man, the menopause thing, like I said, that's what we were talking about today. And a lot of the ladies are kind of all, there's some women in their 40s, some in
Mhm.
their 50s, some 60s. So everybody kind of was at a different place. But there was one woman who's 2 years alcohol free,
Yep.
and she was saying, like, I am so glad
So
that I
grateful.
quit before. I was like, it's one of those things, like the gift that keeps on giving. Like that's not why we quit. We didn't even we weren't thinking about our hormones years later. We just
Yes.
didn't want to feel crappy and everything. And then all of a sudden it's like these benefits that we keep getting
Okay, you've
years
got to do
into
the
it.
infomercial commercial. You're welcome. You've got to do the infomercial. You're welcome for the idea, because it's so true. And fear paralyzes. So I think, I don't know how we are on time, but, if we were going to put a bow on it, I don't know how, are we close to time? And I can,
Getting there.
okay.
Yeah, we got.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I think what's important, like I said, mindset, motivation, mentors, that's kind of but you do a lot of that same work, by the way.
Love the mindset. I mean,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
huge,
I
so
can't
important.
wait to download. So I made a small guide, and then I'm going to speak at the Sober Summit, and then you've got a sober thing you're speaking for. What is yours called?
Yeah, mine is called oh my gosh, hold
Epic
on.
something?
Yeah,
Yes.
sober is the new epic. Yeah, sober is the new sobriety is the new epic, which that's kind of what it's about, is anybody who, has either like built a business or is just like thriving in their sobriety. So there's some really cool speakers as well in
Yep.
ours. So I love that they're in this a 14-day free virtual, event for
Amazing.
ours, and yours I think is like maybe a 3-day.
Sober Summit is a 3-day. I'm a speaker. Hey, you talk about
Amazing.
imposter syndrome. I'm like having to pump myself up to get ready because, again, 2.5 years ago, do you think I sat and said, oh, in 2.5 years, I will be speaking at a Sober Summit? No. I was just trying to survive the week or whatever. We just have to learn, jump in, be open-minded, do the work. Getting sober is not easy. As you know, one of my and I say one of my sober coaches, I'm not ashamed. It takes a village. I've had groups, community, sober coach, therapy, whatever it takes. I am
Love it.
all
Yep.
in,
Mhm.
because it takes a village. It takes a community. The sober community is the other piece. How empowered I am with our sober, badass women that we have. It's
We
inspiring.
do.
Women
And
like you, it's just inspiring. So, yeah, so the Sober Summit, there's a link in my bio. It's a free 3-day event. So you can find that out. Then it's just so many things. And I think, now if I go to a restaurant and I don't see a zero proof cocktail, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little disappointed. And I don't
Mhm.
want the sugary drink. I want now the non-alcoholic tequila. I want the real, I want the fake stuff, but the mocktail, right? So, and then,
Yeah,
I
right.
think the trend too, I saw Shifting Gears with Tim Allen. So I don't know if you know this, but he's sober, been sober for years. So he has a show. It's like with his adult daughter. Anyway, it was very stressful on him one day. And on the show, he says, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. I need a mocktail." So
I've never
I
thought of that.
I use that now. I go, "Oh my gosh,
That's
I'm
a
so
good
stressed. I
one.
need a non-alcoholic margarita," because we still get triggers. I still, I thought I'd been through all the things, right? The vacations, the weddings. In 2.5 years, I've done it all. Fun fact, my dog died November of last year. Molly was her name. So I lost Maggie and we lost English bulldogs. But when Molly died, my gosh, she died in November. I was like, well, add grief to the list, but holy moly, what a trigger. But, we don't numb it out now. There's no, I'm going to pour a glass of wine and numb it out. So for me, it's almost like pouring the club soda is like a placebo effect. It's very bizarre.
Mhm.
I still love a wine glass in my hand. There's just
Yeah, that's what
something.
we always call it. We
Yeah.
call it like one of the girls in our group special because she says in a beautiful big wine glass with soda water and some grapefruit juice and a couple
Yes.
limes, and it's so beautiful. And it's like, it
Yes.
really is.
Yes.
It really is. And it definitely doesn't leave us with the hangover, shame, regret, or
All
any
the
of that, or
above.
speed up our aging. I
That's
mean,
right.
that fact that Dr. Mandy shared about how one instance of drinking speeds up our biological aging
Yes.
by 1.5 months. I
I
was like,
wrote
oh
that
my gosh.
down and was like, this is something and I think that was fascinating too about her podcast is at 2.5 years, I feel like I've done it all, read it all. And then I'm the sober sure thing never heard of like she said so many things. I'm like, I'm still learning. So I just
Yeah.
encourage people. I used to say I'm a sober cheerleader. I never would describe myself as a sober coach, but inspiring and speaking and Enneagram, that's kind of my jam. That's what I do.
Where else are you speaking? Like, or what is your goal for speaking? What are your
So, like
goals?
I said, the TED Talk is the goal. Now, Megan, if I could get the TED Talk, but it's crazy how insane that is to process. But I'm looking into it and I'm not
I
going to.
might have somebody
Okay.
actually
Well,
yeah,
there were companies that
who
help you.
had one, and yeah,
Well,
that
there are companies that help you do it, but I'm not prepared to pay that amount of money. I'm going to try to do it the good old fashioned organic way.
yeah.
But I also am looking, I'm applying and I've got a couple of smaller gigs smaller gig, I'll call it, like for women's groups. And I'm really grateful at my company. I actually speak to our women leaders. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
So
That's awesome. What a good way to like get out there, like with people you're comfortable with and all of
Oh,
that.
and don't even get me started. I think LinkedIn is such an opportunity for us, to be honest with you, to share the message of alcohol free and the journey. I'm really frustrated because I think LinkedIn is the stigma. If you say you're alcohol free, therefore you must be an alcoholic and therefore you're a liability. And I think that's a shame. The other night, I kind of went down a rabbit hole and I searched sobriety, sober curious, alcohol free on LinkedIn, 4 posts.
Wow.
So
That's
anyway,
pretty. I've done some posts on there because I've tried to dabble every once in a blue
yeah,
moon on mine.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
there I am. Here I am torching the flag.
yeah,
Here
keep
we go.
going.
Running
Yeah.
with the Olympics with my torch. No, I'm
Yeah,
not torch.
blow up LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm just grateful that every opportunity we have to share and to let women know that this is okay. If you want to quit
Yeah.
drinking, don't be scared and it's okay. If you
Don't be
don't,
scared. Don't be
yeah,
ashamed.
yeah. And if you don't feel comfortable in a social situation, no offense, it might just not be comfortable and you might not be having fun. Like I wrap up way earlier now. I mean, I'm sorry, but my patience gets thin. There's only so long and that's okay. But
Yep.
I'm just so grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for what lies ahead. I'm grateful for opportunities to meet you. I feel like I need your autograph, so we'll get that later.
Oh my God. That's hysterical.
Yes. So I'm so grateful for you and thank you for having me on and I hope it was helpful.
Yes, it was super helpful. Thank you so much, Natalie. Everybody give
Absolutely.
Natalie a follow. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.